Now we're going to add vendors to our vendor center. So our first task is to enter a company called Accounting Services by, and then you're going to add your name. So we're going to go through this step by step. So to add a vendor, you need to open up the vendor center. The vendor center is Vendors, Vendor Center, or just simply click on Vendors on the home page. Now I don't like this minimized look, so I like to maximize. So I'm going to maximize my window. Now to add a new vendor, you simply go to New Vendor and then New Vendor. By the way, since I'm here, I might as well teach you about these keyboard shortcuts. Notice how the N is underlined. That means if I don't want to click on the vendor, I can use a keyboard shortcut. Because the N is underlined, I can press Alt on my computer and then N. And then if I hit N again, it brings up the new vendor center. So let's try that again. Alt N, and then notice for new vendor, the N is underlined. So if I just press N, it opens up the new vendor center. Of course, if you don't like keyboard shortcuts, you're just going to go new vendor, new vendor. So the name of the vendor is Accounting Services by your name. Opening balance, we're going to leave it blank because there is no opening balance. By the way, this opening balance would mean how much do we owe this vendor. And the very first time you do transaction with a vendor, it's going to be 0. The only time you would ever have an opening balance is, let's say you're converting an existing company from another software system or from manual accounting to QuickBooks. They might have an opening balance. And because this opening balance is going to be blank, we do not have to worry about this date. We're not going to change it. It's not going to be used unless we put a balance in the opening balance. And the reason this date would be needed is if we have an opening balance, QuickBooks behind the scenes needs to do a journal entry. And what date would they use? Whichever one you would use, or whatever date you would have in here. All right. So now I'm going to tab forward with my keyboard. I'm just going to press the tab button, and I can type the name again, or I can do Shift Tab to go backwards, Shift Tab to go backwards, Shift Tab to go backwards. Copy that, Tab, 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 paste. I'm going to tab. First name is my first name. I'm going to hit tab twice, my last name. Job title, we don't have anything. We're going to tab to the main phone. So it's 650-555-2222. Now you do need, for grading purposes, you do need the dashes in there. If you leave the dashes out, you will lose some points because it makes the reading the phone number very difficult. Main email, we're going to tab twice to main email, pioph@ppi.edu.net. Work phone is blank. Mobile number 650-555-2223. Website is blank. So I'm going to tab till I get down here. Notice the cursor now is right here. So I'm going to hit Enter to go to the next line, and then I can type in the address, 45888 Main Street. Hit Enter to go to the next line, Middlefield, California, 94303. Now when you're typing these numbers in here, like the zip code, you should be using the 10 keypad on your keyboard. Hopefully your computer has a 10 key on the right so you can enter numbers quickly. Now if you don't like that method of typing in the address, you can just open up this edit, click on the edit, and then add the street address here, city, state, zip code. All right, next we have account number. And you might be saying, well, I don't see account number here. That's because you need to go to payment settings. I'm going to try the keyboard shortcut. Since the P is underlined, I'm going to go press Alt and then P. And now notice my cursor is in the account number field. So I'm going to type 99-2020-XY. I'm going to tab to payment terms, and it's net 30 days. So I typed N, and that pops up. Now I can hit the down arrow to go to net 30 days, and then I can hit tab. Or if you like using your keyboard, your mouse, which is slower, you can just go like this and select net 30 days that way. Print name on the check as Accounting Services by Rex Jacobson. That's already filled in. And then the last thing we want to do is we need to fill in this expense account to pre-fill. I will show you where that is. That is on the account settings. So before I put this account number in there, 6020 accounting expense, I'm going to show you what it's for. So I'm going to close this. We'll come back and fill this in later. So I'm going to click OK. So now my vendor is entered. Notice it's right up here. So when I single click, since it's already selected, the accounting information, the vendor information is over here, and all the transactions we've ever done, which is 0, appear here. All right. So I'm going back to the home page and show you what that expense account to pre-fill means. Let's say I'm going to enter a bill, and this bill came from, you guessed it, Accounting Services by me. Now, every time we have a transaction with this company, it's probably always going to be using an expense called accounting expense. So that would mean every time we would have to go down here and choose this. So I'm going to close this and not save it. And let's say the next month we get another one. So the next month I would choose the vendor, and then I had to fill this thing in again. So if you don't want to have to fill this in all the time and you want it to have a default account in here, then we need to go in and edit the vendor. So I'm going to go back to the vendor, and now I want to edit this vendor. So to edit the vendor, I can double click, or I can right click and go to edit. Or since the vendor is selected, I can go up here to the pencil icon and click edit. And then the last thing we need to fill in is the expense account to pre-fill. That's account settings. So I'm going to type in 6020. It pops up. I'm going to hit tab. And now every time we enter a bill, or we're going to write a check to this company, the pre-filled account will be accounting expense. We could always change it if we wanted to, but now it will be selected for us. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to click home. Let's say I enter a bill, and I'm going to choose accounting services. I just typed in A, and I'm going to hit tab to go to the next field. Now notice how it pre-filled the account, so we don't have to, that's one less thing for us to have to fill in. But we don't want to actually record that. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to record that. Now, our next task is we need to enter another vendor, Williams Office Supply, with some of the same types of fields, not necessarily all of them. We're going to be skipping the expense account to pre-fill. So since we have this available, we can just copy and paste and save us some time. So I'm going to go add a new vendor, new vendor, new vendor. I'm going to paste the name here. I'm going to paste the name here. And we're going to leave the opening balance blank. And the name is Bernard, tab, tab, Williams, tab, tab, tab. Main phone is, I'm just going to copy and paste that, less chance for error. Now in the real world, you're not going to have this capability to copy and paste because you're not going to have a nice PDF or Word document with this information to copy and paste. But since we have it here, we can save ourselves some time. by copying and pasting. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to go to payment settings, account number. I'm going to copy and paste that. Payment terms, net 30. And print name on check as Williams Office Supply Company. And that's it. So now we have Williams Office Supply. And now notice we did not have an expense account to pre-fill. So if we enter a bill with Williams Office Supply, it does not pre-fill down here. You would think that they would pre-fill this to probably office supplies, which would be right up here. But they do not have us do that, so we will not do that on our own. And I'm not going to save this transaction. And that's it. So we've successfully entered 2 vendors. I showed you some keyboard shortcuts, and if you are lucky and have the information, you can always, if you're lucky and have the information electronically, you can always copy and paste it into the vendor.